Say you're me and you're in computer science. You just finished writing your final exam and are ready to go home when you realize that it's only a quarter after 12 and no one's allowed to leave for another 15 minutes. So, you grab the blank piece of paper you were given and start doodling. Inspired by nothing in particular, you start drawing, say, a hydra with multiplying heads. A neck to the left, a line to the right, continue just like that. You pause when you realize that this has been done before. You were going to have these two heads run into each other and stop, but you know how that goes. It works out to be Stravinskys Triangle. Sure, it's cool and all, but what if you made it your own? Monorail's Triangle, they'll call it. You sound it out a few times in your head. Monorail's Triangle. It's got a ring to it. Now all it needs is a definition. You decide that instead of the heads canceling each other out, one of them will win. Each time there's a point where two heads meet, the next row will have a neck that heads left, but not right. To remind yourself of this, you make a mental note that points where they meet will be marked with a big dot. You don't know this yet, but you're going to be really good at forgetting that dot. This goes on for a few iterations before 12:30 finally arrives. You hand in your exam and leave, but not before noticing this cool diamond pattern that the triangle is forming. You consider continuing the structure when you get back home before you remember, you're in computer science. You can make a machine do all the work for you. If you're going to write a program that generates this structure, you'll need an idea of how to store it. You open Paint and start typing in a font that you've become inexplicably fond of recently. You briefly wonder why you don't have such a bad time when you see it. You stop typing after 15 numbers, enough for the first 5 rows of the triangle. You're going to figure out how they relate to each other. Start by drawing red lines from each number to the one below it to the left. Follow it up with green lines going down and to the right. Of course, you have a red-green deficiency, so you don't notice until the end that you screwed up a color. Now that you have a visual representation of these relationships, you can apply it to something easier to work with. You clean up a bit and try aligning the numbers to the left like regular lists. You're going to draw out the same relationships and see how you can create them. Just copy the same lines down from the top picture. 1 to 2, 2 to 4, 4 to 7, the pattern becomes apparent quickly. The green lines are nearly as simple, just shifted over to the right. It turns out that it's easy to find these diagonal connections. If you're looking at a number in the nth index of its row, the red line goes down and stays at n. N becomes n. Got it. When the green line goes down, it then increases by 1. N becomes n plus 1. This is everything you need to know to start writing some code. Defining the starting point of the triangle seems as good a place to begin as any. Next, you need a function that can generate a new row based on the triangle you already have. It only takes you a few moments of struggling with the docstring before you finally feel ready to get this thing moving. You know that the newly generated row is going to be one longer than the current bottom. Now to just loop over the last row and populate the new one. Any cell equal to 1 adds 1 to its two neighbors below. Although I suppose you are going to need to enumerate for this. Plus 1 and plus 1 plus 1. Let's see what kind of output we get from this. That's not exactly what you expect, but right. And again. Perfect. You leave the next row function alone for now to make sure everything else works the way you want. For now you start building the triangle and that's no good. Not to worry, you can fix this. Just have to almost there. That got ugly quick, but it works. You can clearly see that Stravinskys Triangle is being generated. Now to put your twist back in. You nearly write some clean code, but your output function is already such a mess that you allow yourself to golf it a little. A 1 adds 1 to both its children, a 2 adds 1 only to the left. And it works perfectly. There it is. Now to have some fun with it. For example, take a look at what happens if you only look at the 2's. That's not so bad, you get every number twice. And here, let's check out the sums. Admittedly, this doesn't mean anything to me, but you never know. There you go. It looks like it gives you numbers that aren't divisible by 3. And does the pattern hold? It looks like it. So that's pretty interesting. Okay, honestly, I thought that the cool maths was just gonna happen. I guess this is harder than it looks. I'm just gonna study for my next exam.